All right, welcome back to the SEC Media Days from Atlanta. Frank Franchi along with Matt Hayes. What a pleasure to welcome in our buddy Danny Wuerffel, who joins us. Danny, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's always good to be with you, Frank. You've been doing this a long time.
I've been doing it a long time, Danny. I was doing well before you were playing. That's how long I've been doing
wow.
it. But it's a wow moment. Great. You're always in good shape.
I thought I was old.
Well, we're both old, Danny. But you're in great shape. You're always in good shape.
I appreciate it. I've like many other Americans, I've become addicted to the fastest-growing sport of pickleball.
Yeah.
And compete pretty high level, and that keeps me active and busy, and I love it.
Danny's in great shape, Matt, but he doesn't wear the schmediums that Dorian wears. Dorian's got the schmediums on, so you don't. So there's not that. So, what's going on? Tell me about the foundation. You've been very involved in. I want to talk Gator football and a whole lot of that with you, but I want to start with the foundation. You've really leaned into Desire Street for a long time, haven't you? Tell us about how that whole thing is going.
Yeah, well, Desire Street is doing great. We're continuing to work in under-resourced neighborhoods all over the South. We just finished a 5-year plan of working in 20 different neighborhoods, and we're planning the next 5 years right now. So that's going great. Separately at the Wuerffel Foundation and the Wuerffel Trophy, we've been honoring college athletes, in an era where so much – kind of seems like it's about me and about mine and about my money and the transfer portal. There's a group, a whole bunch of folks that are doing great work as teammates, but then also as community members and community service. So the Wuerffel Trophy for years has been honoring that. And then last year we partnered with Allstate, the AFCA Good Works team, to kind of combine their program to make that one. So you kind of have like the All-American team of Good Works, and you sort of have like the Heisman Trophy of Good Works, being the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy, and it's been fantastic. We've got a record number of years of nominees this year, and just doing phenomenally great stuff.
Then I think that gets lost sometimes. There's a lot of good young dudes out there that do this type of work, but all anybody sees right now with players is NIL, is money, is changing teams year to year. There are a lot of good dudes out there, right?
Yeah, usually it's just the world we live in. If like you're the best player on the best team, you get a story, or if you do something really dumb, you get a story.
Right.
But our mission with Allstate, AFCA, Wuerffel Foundation is to find those stories and tell those stories, and that's why I really love this partnership. 118 nominees for the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy, 197 for the Good Works team because that's in multiple divisions. And, just so many great stories. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about DJ Lagway and his passes and his electricity as a leader. But, you don't know he's working with Special Olympics. He works with a really cool program there called Made for More that I've been a part of. And he started his own foundation and gave a whole bunch of money to support women's athletics. So,
that's awesome.
You don't always get to hear that part of his story. Michael Taff at Texas went through a terrible tragedy. One of his closest friends died of a fentanyl overdose. And so a part of his efforts is to create awareness through his foundation to help other people avoid some of those pitfalls and understand what's going on with fentanyl, especially in the state of Texas. So just great stuff all around the board, and we get to honor those guys.
Danny, DJ's here today. People haven't really gotten to know him yet because he hasn't gone into the season as a starting quarterback yet. So we're going to get to know DJ a little bit. I think the whole Gator Nation is. Tell me a little bit about him. Obviously, he cares about other people, the humanitarian side, but how did you meet him? How did you find out that he was that committed? I know he's the candidate or the nominee from Florida. Tell me more about him.
Yeah, well, I got to meet him when he was in high school and was visiting Florida, kind of on the sideline or, kind of in those pre-games. And I also got to meet his dad. And, you can usually tell a lot about somebody by their family. And this is an outstanding family, high quality, high character. There's a lot of reasons and a lot of times where people could have tried to tell him, hey, you shouldn't be here. You need to transfer. You need to go somewhere else. This isn't where, and yet he's been very faithful and loyal to Florida, loves Coach Napier. And so I just really respect him a lot as a young man. We've met a few different times, and for the first time we had to figure out who's going to pay for breakfast because I think he made more money than I ever made in the NFL. So anyway, he's a great young man.
So conversely, on the other side of the athletic side, you've been around a lot of elite offenses, elite quarterbacks. What did you think of him his first year? He was doing stuff, I think, that people really didn't understand he could do or think he could do. He looked phenomenal at times last year.
Yeah, when you think about the development of a quarterback, you really, from young and all the way or as a freshman, it's like, okay, we need to get your steps right. We need to get your reads right. We need to kind of work on the different throws. And then you hope that over time they can kind of develop some of these other X-factor stuff. Well, he kind of came in the opposite. He's like his footwork's all over the place, and he's just throwing darts down the field in the key moments of these games. It's like, wait, he's got like he's got the end game already now as we build in the fundamentals, as he gets a year under his belt with Coach Napier's offense, which is not simple for a quarterback to run. Compared to a lot of offenses, it's a lot of nomenclature and movements and shifts and verbiage. And so the more comfortable he gets with that, and then you add the weapons at receiver this year, it could be really electric. You got a really good line coming back, so we're really excited about this year.
Danny, how do you feel about where the game's gone? As you pointed out, I've done this a long time. I was in college when everybody ran the wishbone and the veer, right? And then in the 80s, it was the I formation and the sprint draw, right? And then this guy, Steve Spurrier, came along in 1990, and all of a sudden Florida's throwing the football down the field. Nobody can cover him. Now we got RPOs and spread. Do you like where the game's gone? How do you feel about football today?
Yeah, I mean, I love the iterations of offense and defense and strategy. That thrills me. And, to figure out what are you trying to do and how can I attack that. I saw an old clip of Spurrier just yesterday where he said, this was as a young man. He's like, well, if there was one perfect defense, everybody would play it. But, there's not. And every defense has some kind of weakness. And so you're trying to attack the weakness. And they're trying to – so I know what you know that I know, and I know what you know. And so I love that part of the game. I think that the part that has me concerned, like a lot of people, is sort of the way NIL was introduced, which where it really wasn't even NIL, the way the transfer portal just made it the Wild West, and then really the lack of transparency around the whole thing. And so that was highly concerning for me. But I think that each year there's steps that are being made to kind of rein that in. I'm supportive of players getting paid. I think that's a fair thing. But just to do it in a way that's transparent, the way that's structured, the way that has some accountability both ways, I think is where we're headed, and I'm excited about that.
So last year we were here, you were a big fan of Billy Napier. You said, I think if he gets the time, it's really going to develop here. He's building it organically the way he should be built. Are they there now, you think, to where this season could be a very big season?
Well, I think it needs to be. I think, it's a really remarkable to me, the turnaround at the end of last year. I think especially, when we talk about transfer portals, NIL, me first kind of mentality, it works when you're winning. You can have a whole bunch of people get along when you're winning. As soon as you start losing, it falls apart fast. I've been on a lot of NFL teams and different teams where, once you start losing, to hold a culture together, to rebound, especially at the lowest point of that Texas game, and then to finish the way they finished was truly remarkable. And I think that reflects on Billy Napier as a coach and as a culture builder. I think he is an outstanding head coach of a football team. I think he really cares about the young men, and that reflects on it. And so all those things I think are just absolutely fantastic. I think the main question is, is he the ultimate answer as an offensive coordinator? And that's he's betting on that,
right?
And that's his choice to do. Not many people are doing that anymore as a head coach. As good as Kirby Smart is at defense. So I think that's the thing that we'll see this year, how it plays out. Because we've got the players, we've got the weapons, and let's go score a lot of points.
Do you have an opinion on that? Because I hear you, and listen, you summed it up right. Everybody likes Billy. He's a good dude. He cares about kids. We all know that. But there has been some questions about his sideline acumen, and we all know that. Are you confident as a Gator alum, as a fan, as a guy wearing that orange and blue tie, that he can be good at all that?
I mean, I think it's hard for anybody to be good at that. So yeah, I do think how Spurrier, and I hope he doesn't hear this, but he wasn't figuring out how to wisely use a timeout. He was an offensive coordinator. If he didn't get the plan in time, he had to use the timeout. Yeah. But he wasn't thinking about the game theory. He wasn't thinking about how's this play going to affect the defense. He's just doing his job as offensive coordinator. So I think it's hard for any one person to do all that. I think they've changed some responsibilities this year. I think that'll help. But time will tell. But I think he is an absolutely rock star as a head football coach, and I'm glad we have him.
Who do you think the closest guy in college football now is to Spurrier as far as a coach? You've seen a lot of these guys. Who do you think's the closest?
I mean, Lane Kiffin is pretty creative on offense. I like Steve Sarkisian as well. In fact, I saw him yesterday, and went to say hi, and he's watching his phone, watching ESPN to see where the number one linebacker recruit was going to commit. And he's like, hoping, I think we're getting him, but I don't know. You never know. And it's like, man, I'm glad that's not my life. I have to wait wait on that. But, I didn't get to see the guy a lot, and his name escapes me, but was it Indiana?
Signetti.
Yeah, Signetti. Yeah. What they did was remarkable. I don't know. I hadn't really studied their offense, but, those are a few names that are doing well. And, of course, Lincoln Riley's had tremendous success with quarterbacks.
Danny, it's funny you said that about Sarkisian. I had Kirby Smart on at the same time, and that's who they were battling. He had the same phone. I mean, we're interviewing Kirby, and he's got the phone trying to find us. So
Steve said, I hope Kirby's not on the phone with him right now, the kid right now.
Yeah. and he had the phone. So, all right, final thing, we'll let you go. And then I want to wrap with the Wuerffel Foundation, but I got to ask you this. What moment stands out the most in those 4 years? 52-20 is what stands out for the fans, but for you, there was so much. There's 4 SEC titles. There's a national title. There's another national title game. There's a Heisman Trophy. I'm asking you who's your favorite kid. I get that. But what moment stands out?
There were a lot of amazing moments. I think looking back, I think I just saw Chris Doering standing over there. Yeah, I can see him now. Yeah. Like the relationships with guys like that is really what stands out the most, and to reflect on times together. And but if you're talking about games, I had an interesting sort of bookend to my career. It wasn't the very first moment, but the first game I really played much was the Kentucky game where we threw the pass to Doering to win. And then the last game I played was just, like the ending. If that senior season was a movie, you wouldn't believe it because it was too perfect. You're number one, you're great. You lose to your rival, you got no chance to win the title, and then you get a rematch with your rival and you blow them out. It's like I pinched myself to think that game actually happened, and we beat Florida State for the national title.
You know what's funny is you had to beat Alabama that year, too, and everybody forgets all about that.
Yeah.
In the SEC championship game.
Yeah, that was big.
Doering and I talk about this a lot. I was doing the pay-per-view. I was doing the pre and post on the pay-per-view with Vittel on the Doering's Got a Touchdown game. And we're in the end zone. I've told Chris knows the story. I don't know if I've ever told you the story. So we're sitting there. David Steele's on the call. Mick's got the radio call. David's got the TV call. Larry and I've got the post game. And we're sitting in the end zone, behind the end zone, trying to figure out how to tell Gator fans about this loss. This loss. Threw a bunch of interceptions. Lost to Kentucky. And I'm not. And as Larry's kind of preparing this, I'm looking up, and the ball's in the air. We're in that end zone. The ball's in the air, and Chris is behind the guy, and I'm going, Larry. We're gonna have to change.
Yeah,
okay?
change your script.
I think we're okay here. So true story. And I'm watching the ball, so I remember that one as well.
Well, it was supposed to go to Jack Jackson on the sideline. He called 4 verticals and he said hit B, and I was going to do that, but the safety started rolling over because I had tried that earlier.
Okay.
So I just pumped and threw it down the middle, and I can't believe they're in that coverage. I'm sure they wish they may have done something different now too.
Danny Wuerffel, one of the great players in college football history. I really mean that, and you're one all-time good dude. The Wuerffel Foundation really recognizes college people who are doing good things. Danny, congratulations on that. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
Right, back.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here. Thanks so much for watching 1010XL on YouTube. If you bleed black and teal on Sundays, make sure to head over and subscribe to 1010XL Jaguars. And if on Saturday you're wearing that orange or blue, make sure you like and subscribe over on 1010XL Gators. As usual, make sure you're locked in on this main channel. Like and subscribe right here.